Welcome to the Horizons 2023 Showcase. My name is Jenny Windom, and we are thrilled to have you here today, and we're excited to share with you some amazing content. If this is your first time at a Horizons event, Horizons began in 2021 and has evolved into two separate events, a student conference during the spring semester and a showcase in early June. This year, our conference was held in April, and today we are highlighting some of the student work from the nearly 30 schools that have participated. Horizons is organized through a unique partnership between IndieCade and the Higher Education Video Game Alliance with support from the Knight Foundation. IndieCade is well known as the premier international festival of independent games, and it supports a robust creator community throughout the year, including conferences, live streams, and our flagship annual festival. The Higher Education Video Game Alliance is the professional association for faculty and students advocating for the critical role video games play at colleges, public policy, and in society. These two organizations have combined their powers to bring you Horizons and our show today. We're going to start off with a few highlights of individual student work from some of the schools. We'll also be talking with some of the students and have even more student trailers and showcases later in the stream. Our first student game feature is Scorched Earth from American University. For this capstone project, students developed a resource scavenging survival game, as well as the foundations of their very own game studio.
Hi, my name's Megan Couture. I'm the lead producer and co-director of a capstone project from American University called Scorched Earth. So, what is Scorched Earth? Bringing together the tension from The Last of Us and the serenity from A Short Hike in a world set ablaze. Scorched Earth is a resource scavenging survival adventure game where you'll have to find a new way to persevere with a community of fellow survivors. You'll venture out into burns, forests, and lost structures full of danger to find vital resources for your growing village. This project was created for our capstone class, a typically semester to year-long project meant to round off our programs as MA and MFA students at American University. However, my team opted to take a year and a half to allow room to mess around and to mess up. As such, our game at the very beginning looks extremely different from how it looked at the very end. Capstone projects at American University are pretty open-ended, allowing students to explore almost anything that they want to, though most students do choose to explore a serious game since that is a huge focus here at the Game Center and at American University at large. With this freedom and being that the MFA program at American University is much younger than the MA program, my team chose to take a pretty different approach when defining what this project meant to us. Rather than Scorched Earth, the project being just the game, the project was simultaneously the process of creating the game itself. We wanted this capstone project, this year-and-a-half long project, to be just as much about how to create a game and setting up a game for long-term development as it was about making a demo. A demo that we could potentially continue working on after graduation. As such, a lot of our development time wasn't just spent on the creation of the game itself, but rather the creation of long-term pipelines, tools, and methodologies that our team can continue using for years to come. This includes the creation of narrative, artistic, and audio pipelines to really allow our team members to feel out what it takes to create a cohesive work with a larger team, the development of AI methodologies and considerations to allow ourselves to explore how to use AI resources for brainstorming, concept art, and programming assistance in an ethical way that still makes sure the final project is made with human hands. And finally, but definitely not least importantly, the exploration of what it takes to create a work environment and a team environment that is sustainable for all of its unique members. As for the major design considerations that our team would use to sculpt this game, our team wanted this project to talk about the dangers of the emergent ideology of ecofascism, while still fostering an appreciation for the beauty and terror of nature and discussing the different benefits and detriments of individualism and collectivism. The process of creating both our game and our game production styles was extremely iterative, as we would go over our assets, documentations, programming styles, you name it, over and over again, not just to find what was most efficient for game production in general, but to find what was most effective for our team members as creators, developers, and as people. Through this extensively iterative process, our team started to feel more and more like a true design studio, a true game studio, the further into development we got. And this was extremely exciting to us, considering that one of our earliest potential goals was for this game to kickstart our own game studio and be its first project. That potential goal is no longer a potential, but is what we are actively aiming to do now that we have graduated. Since the scope of this project is so huge, I don't think I could pick just one favorite or coolest element from throughout our development process, since the depth and cohesiveness of our world building is just as cool to me as everything that we've learned from deciding to build all of our code and editors and assets from the ground up, which is just as cool to me as all of the workflows and pipelines that we created that's leading to a real company, a real game design studio. With everything that we've done, learned, and created over the course of developing our capstone project, if there's one main takeaway that our team is going to be bringing forward with us as we move into further development, it's that it takes a lot of work and deliberate attention to make sure that your team is working at a pace appropriate both for them and the development of the game, so that your team isn't overworking yourselves and you can continue working in a sustainable way. If you'd like to follow the continued development of Scorched Earth, consider following us at gaming_gourd on Twitter, where we'll be posting development stories, updates, and links to early access demos. Thanks for tuning in. Bye, guys.
Thank you, American University students, for sharing your game, and good luck on your studio. We can't wait to see what you do. Next up, we have a student feature from Clark University entitled Sweetland Slumber Party. It's a local multiplayer game, which I love, and where you're transported to a dream world at a slumber party on the last day of summer. Thank you, Clark University students. It is so refreshing to see a 4-camera split screen that's focused on playing with the environment. Next up, we get to hear more from Falmouth University with a series of clips from their latest games. This upcoming trailer features a wide variety of games and beautiful world building that showcase a range of genres, interesting art styles, and some creative looking mechanics. What an exciting focus on both storytelling and playful mechanics from Falmouth University. For more trailers and game information from American, Clark, and Falmouth Universities, make sure to stay tuned for the end of this broadcast, as well as the website. Next up, we have the opportunity to hear directly from some of the students from Falmouth University, University of Tulsa, and USC in a roundtable discussion moderated by Andy Phelps, professor at American University and the president of HEVGA. This is the first of 2 roundtables in our show, and it allows us to spotlight students from our schools and give voices to their experiences. The topic for the roundtable is, what do you wish you had known?
All right. So welcome to one of our student panels. My name's Andy Phelps. I teach at American University in Washington, D.C. And I'm also one of the co-founders of the Higher Education Video Game Alliance, where I currently serve as president, and also a co-founder of IndieCade Horizons, which is what's bringing us all here together today. If we could just do a real quick sort of like intros from everybody, who you are, which school you're at, that kind of thing. Just take it away.
I'm Bridget Kerr. I'm a simulation and gaming student at the University of Tulsa in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
I'm Lisby Dingus. I'm a second-year graduate student getting my MFA in Interactive Media and Game Design at USC.
My name is Cami. I am a recent graduate of the University of Tulsa, where I had an art and also computer simulation and gaming major.
My name's Katie. I'm in my 3rd year at Falmouth University, just about to finish my degree in game development writing.
Wonderful. So a real mix of students, real mix of places. It's always wonderful to see. So really, this panel is centered on just one big question, although I may slice and dice it just a little bit. But the core of this question is, so having built games and having also taught games, I think it's safe to say that every time I build a game, I discover what I didn't know about building that game, right? And every time I teach games, I discover what I don't know about teaching games. And so my question to each of you is, in the experiences that you've had so far, and it could be game making, or it could be studying games, or it could be being on a team of people doing this kind of work, but what are some of the things that you really wish you had known before you went and did this, and you learned along the way?
I could start with something that is probably the simplest version of that question. Is I wish I had known how easy it was to jump in and try it. Now, there are different levels of difficulty, but like I didn't realize how accessible it was to me, what free programs were out there that you could really jump in and do this before I came to school. So just knowing that it's accessible in a lot of different ways, at a lot of different levels. I wish I had known that a lot earlier.
Yeah, I think my answer is similar to that. I wish I had known it was something I could even do. I had a whole career before this. I was a teacher, and I felt like I had maybe missed the boat on game design and game development. While I didn't study computer science, I'm not really a techie person, so it's not something I'm going to be able to do. And it turns out that not only is that not true, it's never too late to start learning it, but there are so many more things to do in games than just the techie stuff that you might think of right away. There's writing, and there's art, and there's the coding and the design and the marketing, and so many different elements that if it's something you're interested in, you're going to be able to find something that you enjoy doing and are good at in games.
I guess for me, recently finishing up my senior project, I did take on a bit of a leadership role, and kind of in the same tune of not really knowing that I was quite capable of that type of role. It was very, I wish that I had kind of gone in knowing my capabilities and kind of having a little bit of an ownership of like, even if I'm not as technologically versed in terms of like coding, having that design background and kind of being able to manage in terms of leadership with communication and just making sure that everyone was on the same page. That was still a valuable skill, and I didn't need to undersell myself because maybe my coding wasn't as good as another student. So I think that in the same line, just valuing my skills and still being able to pursue like that leadership role.
Yeah, I think I agree with Cami, honestly. I think not letting imposter syndrome get in the way of kind of what you're doing. I think it's very easy to kind of be like, oh, I'm not very good at this, or oh, should I even bother trying because that person's amazing at this? And I think just kind of doing a bit of everything and really putting yourself into it, that's been kind of like doing that has really benefited me this year. Yeah.
Awesome. Great. And I guess maybe a follow-up to that question is, you know, having built the things that you've built and worked on the projects that you've worked on, what was something that really surprised you in that work? And I'll give an example from my own work. I once built this game. It was sort of an arcade game, and you moved around playing an arcade game, but it left a little trail of paint everywhere you went. And then at the end, you had this painting of everywhere you'd been and every decision you've made in the game. But I was doing that work, and we knew that we wanted to make it work with a controller because it would seem more fluid and more engaged and that stuff. And I remember it took like a day to get the controller to work, right? Like it was pretty easy to just like connect it to the engine we were using and that. And then it took about a month, maybe more, to get the controller to actually like feel right, to just make it feel smooth, to make it like just feel natural, right? And I remember thinking, like, am I just dense? Am I not like understanding how to do this correctly? And I talked to a bunch of people that do that kind of work, and they said, no, like this is how it is to really make something at that level. And I was really surprised by that. So what's something in your own work that you were kind of either taken aback by or surprised by, or it just seemed different than your expectation?
For me, I think that in some of the projects, you kind of forget how much editing your project is such a big deal in terms of being able to recognize, even if you have like maybe 80% of the prep for it, if it's not really meshing with the entire project, then it's okay to just kind of let it go. And a lot of conflicting feelings about that, of course, but you know, that was kind of a hurdle where it's just like, I didn't think that it was going to be that big of a deal for me, but it was just like, I actually had to have kind of like some other people around me encouraging me, where it's just like, oh, I see, like, I understand like the importance of that now. So that was a little bit of a unexpected wake-up call, I would say.
The thing that I've been the most surprised by is probably how welcoming the community is in general of game designers and game modders, because it feels really intimidating to jump in not knowing very many things, but people on Discords and in classes and at even at GDC and everywhere I meet people that are also designers are so kind, are so interested in your work, are so willing to help out. I almost couldn't believe it. And I'm still shocked by the wonderful people I'm meeting in this industry, which had seemed so intimidating to me before I was in it.
I think something that really surprised me was how much of games is actually psychology. I'd studied games in college before I went to university, and I think because we'd just kind of been focused on getting into Engine and like learning how to use the different pieces of software, coming into uni and actually studying game theory, it was amazing to see how many times I was looking for psychology papers and using what I'd learned from those with my team to make our game, which was really interesting, actually. Yeah, it's impressive how much you can kind of use that in making a game.
Cool. Richard, anything to add?
I don't know if I have anything that's that directly linked. I think for me, one of the things I was surprised about, even knowing, you go into your classes and they tell you prototype, iterate all these things, try your stuff out, don't build the game first. It's still so hard to restrain and not get in there. And so I'm always catching myself, step back. You're spending too much time on something that you're not ready for yet, you're ready to get to yet. So for me, that's something that I'm continually surprised by, how easy it is to overlook that, which is probably why they talk about it so much in your entry-level classes.
Those are some great lessons across the board. I think that will really resonate with other students coming into the field, which leads me, I think, to my very last question, which is, if you had to give advice for somebody that's thinking of doing this, somebody that is, maybe not quite at university yet, or maybe is applying right now, or thinking of that, what's one or two things you would want them to know, given the experiences that you've had?
I think mine goes along with what Lisby was saying about, there is a place for you no matter what your interest is in this field. You can find a home doing something that you really enjoy or that you're really good at, because there are so many different aspects to making games. And don't be afraid to jump in, because you may feel like, I'm not ready, I need to learn so many things before I even start to pursue this. But yes, maybe that's true, but it's not going to get any easier if you wait. Jump in and get started and pursue that thing you love.
Yeah, and on that same note, Bridget, along with jumping in and just going for it, getting started, don't be afraid to show people your work. Even if you're not proud of it yet, if it's not done yet, show it to people and get their feedback. Don't be afraid to apply to a program with something that is not where you want it to be yet, because you're applying so that you can get better, and show it to people, even in industry. Say, here's what I've got. What would you say about this? Because the more people you show it to, the more feedback you're going to get. And a lot of that feedback is going to be a lot more positive than you think. And it will give you the energy to keep going, and it'll give you directions to take. So don't be afraid to show people work, even if it's not where you want it yet.
Awesome.
I guess for me, I would say that just emphasizing how exciting the industry is right now and the different paths of growth. I think that for a lot of people, it is surprising where you're not so much, it is really exciting in kind of the more traditional, what we think of in terms of video games, but these skills are so applicable to many other things in so many industries that want to utilize this technology. In film, in kind of different 3D rendering, art restoration. There are so many different pathways, and I think that these skills don't need to be kind of put into a box. You can really have a lot of freedom with it.
Yeah, I'd say try a bit of everything, because I initially thought I wanted to be a programmer. That was my pathway into games, was coding, and I realized as I kind of learned more about theory, I was really interested in design and then narrative design. So where you start out might not actually be like the best one for you. Try a bit of everything and experience everything in games, because there's so much there. It might be that the thing that you were kind of had your heart set on, it isn't actually the thing that is like the best thing for you as well.
Wonderful. I think that's some really great advice all around, and I hope that it's useful for our audience, for other folks in the Horizons community. I know that at least me personally, when I first got into game, I never thought I was going to get into games or teaching games. I never even thought I was going to get into teaching. I never even thought I was going to go to grad school at one point. So it's been a pretty meandering road as well. And most of the folks that I know in industry, it took them a while to find their niche, their place, their passion for what they're doing. And yet I think everyone I know that works in this industry is so passionate about what they're doing, because it is a creative industry that draws us all together to make really amazing experiences. So I just want to say thank you to our panelists. You have all been incredible and given some great advice, and thank you for the time for speaking with us and for offering your insights to the wider Horizons community. And with that, I think that's a wrap. So cheers.
All right. Thanks so much, Andy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
A big thank you to Andy for moderating this roundtable, and a thank you to Katie, Lisby, Bridget, and Cami for your insights. In addition to our showcase, we're excited to give a little love to the game jam that we ran at this year's Horizons, Hidden Heroes. For this jam, we invited participants to create creative and inspiring games that celebrate intergenerational gameplay and their favorite hidden hero. We had a wide range of submissions, including collaborations between students from different institutions, and we're happy to share a bit of that creativity with you today.
Sponsored by AARP Games and hosted by IndieCade as part of IndieCade Horizons, Hidden Heroes Game Jam was a game jam that ran from February 24th to March 5th. Jammers were tasked with making games about hidden heroes in their lives, elders who inspired them with their wisdom, stories, and mentorship. With over 126 participants from 7 countries, 3 continents, and 7 universities and high schools, 33 Hidden Heroes games were created. Of these games, 2 are non-digital, 3 are interactive fiction, 18 are 2D, and 10 are 3D. Beyond the style, the topics of these Hidden Heroes games ranged far and wide. Let's look at a few. A Pigeon Tale. Uncover a grandfather's life through his memorabilia in the attic as you clear the path for an injured pigeon. This grandfather inspired their grandchild to write, and maybe they'll inspire you too. 9 Months. Inspired by the developer's parents, make choices to decide who you will be as you develop into a human being. How fragile is life? Lindolfo's Box of Ephemera. Based on the great-grandfather of 2 team members, assemble a collage of this Brazilian journalist's memories and listen to fragments of his journey. Keep your head down. Curious to see the ongoing protests, the hidden hero for this game was witness to the Tiananmen Square massacre. While avoiding the crowds in this game, you will also hear their account of that fateful day. Eleanor in the Afternoon. A physical non-fiction generator about the creator's grandmother, Eleanor. This game is designed to share a grandmother's life and personality with the creator's daughter, exposing her to a grandmother she never had the chance to know. Faded Fluorescence. An ode to game development pioneer Mabel Addis's groundbreaking 1964 The Sumerian game. Take control of a forgotten kingdom as you decipher clues on how to play optimally and rule your ancient kingdom. Lingering Shards. Based on the experiences of a team member's mother, explore a fictionalized version of her struggle and triumph over a toxic family culture. Mom Is. Moms are hidden heroes of everyday life. Your child is about to return home from school, and there is still so much to do. Can you juggle all the work before they arrive? Last but not least, enjoy some gameplay from other fantastic Hidden Hero games. Hidden Heroes was possible as part of IndieCade Horizons with the support of AARP Games, Northeastern University College of Arts, Media and Design, Concordia University's Technoculture, Art and Games Research Center, the Social Sciences and Humanities Research Council of Canada, Northeastern University's Institute for Health Equity and Social Justice Research, the Higher Education Video Game Alliance, and Weaver Virtual Studio. Be sure to check out all the Hidden Heroes Game Jam games at hiddenheroesjam.com. Thank you for watching.
For anyone who didn't get to participate in the Hidden Heroes Jam or the Climate Jam and still wants to participate on these topics or has something entirely different that they want to start or finish, we invite you to join us in our upcoming Greenlit Jam. This is a different type of jam. It's open to everyone to participate and is structured over 5 weeks of sprints to enable participants who complete the jam with something that could be greenlit. Hear from one of the jam founders and organizers, MJ Johns.
Hey everyone, hope you all are excited and ready to start jamming, and good luck with all of your projects this weekend. I wanted to take a moment to tell you all about another upcoming game jam later this summer called Greenlight Jam. Greenlight is a little bit different than a traditional jam, whereas rather than spending just one weekend working on a project, we actually spend 5 weeks working on a project. But it's not just like a long game jam, it's actually very structured, and you can almost think of it as 4 separate game jams where each sub game jam within it has a structure and a goal of completing one step of the development process, or what we call sprints. So at the beginning, there would be the concept and ideation sprint where you're coming up with ideas and coming up with references. And then there's the prototype sprint where you're prototyping a lot of different ideas and trying to see what works. Then there's the production sprint where you are actually making things happen and getting things done. And then lastly is the release jam where you are publishing or releasing your game. The Greenlight Jam is going to take place June 16th through July 23rd, and we'll have more information for you if you're interested in joining, but I hope you will consider joining this jam later in the summer. And once again, good luck on all of your Climate Jam projects this weekend.
We hope you consider joining the Greenlight Jam. For more information, check out our IndieCade website. And next up, we have students from Purdue University who will walk us through their game Cyber Rail, a roguelike parkour space western FPS.
Hey everyone, we're an independent team from Purdue University, and we're working on a game called Cyber Rail. I'm Will, the sole programmer on our team.
Oh yeah, I'm Blake, the art lead on this project.
I'm Noah, the sound designer and composer.
And I'm Joe, prop artist and environment artist.
So Cyber Rail is a roguelike parkour FPS with a space western aesthetic. You defend your manufacturer's train against a convoy of robot bandits. So in our game, we've kind of tried to focus on 2 main pillars of things that we wanted to expand upon within the movement shooter genre. These 2 things are speed and the freedom of player movement. There are a lot of games in this genre where things like wall running, grappling, vaulting kind of slow down the player, and in our game we really wanted them to build to increase your speed and make you go even faster. We also wanted the player to have lots of tools in their toolkit to get around a procedurally generated environment. And all of this kind of comes together to create a unique experience that we have not seen anywhere else. So I'll pass it off to Blake to talk about our art.
Right, yeah, I'm the art lead on this project. most of the style and the aesthetic, it was born from this character that I created a little while ago. So while our team was discussing a possible game we wanted to make in the future, I brought up the idea of making a game kind of based off the character I created, which was a robot cowboy. So that's where the combination of a Western robotic aesthetic came from. And from that, I've been working on a lot of different props and assets that include both of the aesthetics. So I basically have a lot of robot cowboys, robot bandits, and we're going to have a train in our game too, which is based off more of the Western aesthetic. And then for the visual style, I went for a much more simpler style, as that's why we have cell shading in the game, and this helps us get the development time down, and I don't have to work as hard on the textures and stuff. And this has helped me learn a lot about animation and modeling in general. It's really kept me on a consistent path of doing that almost every day, and I feel like I've learned a lot about the pipeline, and it's helped me a lot in the game development experience. And I'll pass it off to Noah now.
Hi, I'm Noah. I did the composing and sound design for the game. So I've really enjoyed making the music for this game. I've gone a pretty diverse direction with it, in that I've incorporated all sorts of musical styles, most of which don't necessarily adhere to the Western aesthetic. Instead, I've tried to center the mood of the music more around the environment that the player's in, rather than the general Western feeling. The format of our game is planned out to be 2 levels per environment, and I've structured the tracks in a way such that the intensity of the music ramps up as the intensity of the levels ramps up throughout the environment. And instead of maintaining strict instrumentation to create cohesiveness, I've created it through a conservation of a couple musical motifs that I introduced in the first few tracks. As for sound effects, I've used a mixture of Foley work and digital synthesis to create most of the sounds for our game. And it's really taught me a lot about the process of taking a track or a sound effect from its draft stage into its final mixed and mastered stage and passing it on. So now I'd like to pass this off to Joe, our prop artist.
Hi, I'm Joe. I'm a recent addition to the team. I was not part of the original team. Then I met Blake at a game jam and saw the project, and I was like, do you need an artist? And he was like, yeah, actually we do, and now I'm here. It's been interesting working on this. I have most of my experience in Maya, but we used Blender for this project, so it's been a bit of an adjustment, but still really fun and interesting to learn a new program as well. I've mostly been making environment assets at this point, so platforms, ramps, that kind of thing. Part of the reason I want to do this project is because I'm a graduate now, so I want to try to get my name out there, and this seemed like the way to do it. But also, the team seemed fun, and the game seemed fun, and a really interesting idea. And my goal for life is just to make cool stuff, and this seemed like a cool thing to do. In terms of what I really like the most about the game is I think the fluidity of the gameplay is good. I think it flows really well, and it's easy to get immersed in that.
Awesome. So when we actually finish the game, we're going to have it up for purchase on Steam. But for now, we have a page up on itch.io, so feel free to check out the game.
Yep. Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you, Purdue students. It looks exhilarating. Our next segment will feature a game from University of Southern California entitled Birds Aren't Real. The pigeons know that we have beef with them, and here we get to take on the pigeon perspective, much needed in these polarizing times. Plus, keep tabs on the humans so that we can mess with them. It's a first-person turder, so you can poop on people. big thank you to all the students who have shared their games with us. We have many more trailers and game features that will come up after our faculty awards. Also, review our website for many of these games. Next up, we will hear directly from some of the students from Purdue University, American University, and DePaul University in our second roundtable of the show. The discussion again will be moderated by Andy Phelps, professor at American University and the president of HEVGA. The topic is When Things Click.
So welcome back. This is another one of our panels here for IndieCade Horizons. The subject of this particular panel is taking a look at when did you know that things clicked? And to put that in a little bit of context, oftentimes when we first start a new program, when we first start building a new game, when we first start stepping outside our comfort zone and trying a new skill, we're a little bit on edge, we're a little bit anxious, a little bit nervous. And then hopefully at some point with what we're doing, things kind of fall into place and you start to feel a little bit of a sense of comfort. And you just kind of know you're in the right place and doing the right thing. And so we're kind of looking at that idea of sort of everything, just all the puzzle pieces just kind of fit for a little while, and what you can do in a space like that. And so we've got our wonderful student panelists here today. And I'm going to kick off first with asking Megan, who was formerly one of my own students at American University. When did you know that things clicked? What was that like for you? When did you have those experiences?
Okay. So I've had quite a few different types of clicks, whether it's for me, for my team, or for the projects that I'm working on. For the sense of wanting to make games, I've always known that I wanted to make games. That was never a question. Well, even though the way that I took to get there was really weird with my undergraduate major being music, it seems like it's totally unplugged, but it wasn't. I'm here now, and it is very largely from there as well. But the click that I kind of want to talk about, since a lot of my time at American University was defined by my team and the people that I worked with, is all the way back in 2021, very early January, February maybe. I was doing a global game jam with who would become my current teammates. And at the time, being that we were all online, nobody was really talking to each other because nobody really knew how. So as kind of an icebreaker, we decided to do a global game jam together. And I was the main artist. I did a little bit of the producing work, which would eventually become a lot of what I would do. And I felt there that not only was this a team of people that I'd be very happy to work with for the rest of my time at American University so that we could all practice different roles and different types of leadership and creation together as a team for larger projects than we could do alone. But also I felt even then that that was a team of people I would be more than happy to make a company with someday. So we all talked about it all the way back at that point, and we talked about how we would use a lot of our projects as a way to test the waters a little bit, to test out how we would want to have that studio and what kinds of projects we'd want to do and what kinds of scopes we'd want to do. And it felt amazing. It still feels amazing to this day. And now we're getting to the point 2 years later where we get to really actually see the results of those tests. So we'll see how it goes in the next couple of months.
Awesome. Thank you for that. And now let's hear from Santiago, who I think is at DePaul University.
Yes. I'm in the MFA for game design in DePaul University. But before that, I was in my psychology undergraduate in Columbia, and there is when I first felt that first click. Actually, not working too much on games at the moment, but that moment when I started working in one game with a professor, I really felt like that sense of making something that was fun for people, but also would give them something, would leave them with something to show for. In this case, it was an educational game and a testing game. It's like a unique concept. And right now, like recently, I was working on this tabletop RPG that is centered around a bee colony, a hive. And I got obsessed with bees. I really got into the research. I really read a lot about bees. And as I did some playtestings, I realized how this game that had started just like something to be fun, to be just a fun RPG to play, it also became something that would give a lot of information about bees, like it would teach a lot to the players, but also it like motivated them to know more and to like see the importance in them. So I feel like for me, it's those moments where you see that what you're doing is impacting people and is leaving them with something else that they didn't have before playing your game. So.
Awesome, thank you. That sounds like a really interesting game, and maybe someday I'll get a chance to play it. And then lastly, let's hear from Uma, who I think is at Purdue University.
Yep, I'm at Purdue University. Hi, my name is Uma Claire, and I had two major clicks in my life. The very first one was right before I got into Purdue, so I was still looking for colleges, deciding what major I wanted to be, and I was pretty set on chemistry for a long time because I found it interesting, but it wasn't really my passion. I was just kind of looking for something to do, and I was talking with my stepdad in a car ride, and we were talking about the behind the scenes of Star Wars, and I was saying, oh, I love 3D modeling so much, I wish I could work on like a set like this or in games, but it sucks that there isn't a major for that. And lo and behold, there was a major for that. So I had a really like, oh my gosh, this is amazing kind of moment. And then secondly, this past semester, we were working on a games practicum, which was a lot like a prolonged game jam. And I decided to be an artist because that's what I love. That's what I always wanted to do. And as the game progressed, I started taking on more roles as a producer. And that's when I really realized that I love being the oil in the machine. So I would love to make people's lives easier. It's really fulfilling to me. And on a team full of really passionate people who are excited to make a game and giving it their all, really, really fulfilled me as well. So I was like, I would love to work with people like this and help them get better, help them do their best. And so I've decided that I really want to be a producer. And so for the next couple semesters, I'll be taking on a bunch of projects in my class, and I will be the producer for them. So I'm super psyched.
Awesome. That sounds really great. And I wish you the very best of luck on those future projects.
Love to see the excitement from one producer to another.
Absolutely. And I guess the other question that I have, and this is not necessarily the focus of the panel, but it's something that I'm asking all of our panelists because I still certainly learn an awful lot each and every day about teaching games, 25 years in. And I think we all continue to learn as we continue to engage with this creative process that is working in games. And so my question is simply, and it's a brief one, what piece of advice would you want to have either been able to give yourself as you were getting into this, or what would you like to pass on to somebody else that is thinking of entering in the field? And I guess we'll go in the same order. So we'll start with you, Megan.
Okay. So I said this in my feature video as well, but I'm absolutely going to reiterate it. It takes a lot of time and focused attention to make sure that the projects you're making are at an appropriate scope for your team to be working on them in a way that keeps you sane. You can come up with a really big game project and want to do the whole thing, but you need to know what amount of that you're actually going to be able to do while sleeping and eating like a normal human being and resting and going somewhere that is not your computer. So as somebody who very much has a history of workaholism in herself and has been working on it, past me, I would tell you, go take a bloody nap. Excellent
advice. And Santiago, what about you?
In my case, one thing that is the main reason why, one of the main reasons people play games is because they enjoy it, because they get some type of gratification from doing it, right? So I feel like because a lot of people, like, their first way of engaging with games is through playing. Well, making games is a little bit different, and it's that you need to put a lot of work. You need to, some weeks are going to be stressful. Some interactions with teammates can be hard, can be complicated. But after that work, and there's also some times in the process that are really fun, but in the end, seeing someone that is enjoying what you did, like this baby of yours, this work of art of yours, that they're really enjoying it, that they're engaging with it, that they're growing as people with it, it's a unique feeling. So I would say that making games is a lot of this, like, waiting for that gratification, that delay of the gratification, but it's worth it. It's worth the effort. So.
Awesome. Wonderful. Yeah, I know that some of the games that I've made have been maybe a little bit terrifying the first time somebody picked up a controller and played it that was not on the dev team. But at the same time, watching somebody on a show floor, or watching somebody play something that you've made and really get a sense of enjoyment out of it is just an incredible feeling. So yeah, I definitely feel that. And Uma, what about you?
I'd say my piece of advice is to put your whole heart into the process and find your fun. So when you first kind of start the process of making a game, you're hopefully super psyched about it, and it's nothing more fulfilling than to be on a team of people who are just as excited as you are. But you still have to find your fun in that process. So find fun in whatever role you're in. Find fun in, making the game. Because if you're not having fun while making a game, even if it has that delayed gratification, even if it has those hiccups, that comes with it. But in the end, if you aren't having fun doing it, then the game is not going to be that fun either, because it's rushed, it's, left behind, it was worked on a little too frustratingly. So as long as you put your heart in it and you go 100% and you're excited about it, then not only do you have an amazing team that you're going to work with, but you're going to have an amazing product as well. So, as long as you're having fun with it, that's how you keep your sanity.
I love hearing everything that you guys are saying, and it's also giving me more things that I want to say.
Absolutely. That's really great advice. And I think that it's absolutely the case that the games that we make are reflective of the people that make them, 100%. And I've met so many wonderful people in this industry, both professionals and other academics and students past and present. And the thing that brings us all together is this passion for this art form, right? This passion for the interactive nature of games, and so I think that we've gotten some wonderful topics here today. I wish we had hours and hours to spend on these kinds of things, but I want to close by first thanking each of you for spending your time with us and for engaging with us and offering your expertise. And I hope that what we're trying to do with Horizons has been useful to you as a part of your educational experience, has been meaningful in the sense that you get to meet folks from industry and also folks from other universities was one of the big reasons that we tried to start this in the first place. And I just want to say thank you for spending a little bit of your time with us and for engaging other students, both currently and in the future, that will see these materials and hopefully get a little bit of your optimism and joy around games. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for hosting, sir.
Thank you, Andy, Uma, Santiago, and Megan for your excellent reflections and thoughts. Now, while Horizon was created to feature student work, none of it would be possible without the support and leadership of the phenomenal faculty and instructors. For the second year in a row, we are proud to announce this award series to honor their work called the Horizons Faculty of Excellence Award. Awardees are selected for their excellence in one of three categories: teaching, innovation, and service. A Lifetime Achievement faculty member is also recognized, and faculty were eligible to be nominated by a peer or self-nominated, and this was open to any faculty or instructor working in games, regardless of whether their school participated in Horizons. Awardees were selected by the Horizons Executive Committee and consultants after careful consideration of the nominees. It is my pleasure to be here to announce these important awards. Our first category is the Excellence for Teaching Award, recognizing a faculty member who has demonstrated a love and commitment to teaching both inside and outside the classroom. The awardee is Sonia Michaels from DigiPen Institute of Technology. Sonia Michaels is the chair of the Humanities and Social Sciences Department at DigiPen Institute of Technology, working at the intersection of humanities and game department education to promote the importance of critical thinking, cultural literacy, and communication across the creative process. She has taught English, composition, literature, and science fiction fantasy, professional communication, and public speaking for 30 plus years, and has worked extensively as a career coach and admissions consultant. Sonia has presented at GDC, PAX Dev, Geek GirlCon, and the New Directions in the Humanities International Conference. In April of this year, she completed a 3-year elected term on the board of directors for the International Game Developers Association. Congratulations, Sonia.
Hi, I'm Sonia Michaels, and I'm thrilled and honored to accept this year's Excellence in Teaching Award. Thank you so much to the people who nominated me and those who selected me. This award's especially important to me because I don't actually teach people how to make games. I teach them how to build careers. In my classes, we work on creating resumes, preparing for interviews, and so on. We also get to have important, challenging conversations about crunch culture, burnout, layoffs, labor practices, and more. I want my students to get jobs, but most importantly, I want them to build careers that will sustain and fulfill them. Of course, I'm not doing any of this alone, so I'd like to give a shout out to my fantastic colleagues in the Humanities and Social Sciences Department at DigiPen, along with special thanks to Professor Farini Zamani, who was recently laid off after nearly 16 years working alongside me to support our students as they work toward their goals. Over the years, I've been so fortunate to have had the opportunity to prepare thousands of students, not just to succeed in the game industry, but also to go out there and change it for the better. So here's a bit of the advice that I share in my classes, in the hope that it may be useful to students who are watching today. Know your value. Please don't work for free, and that includes working for exposure. When you insist upon being paid properly for your work, you're paving the way to a better future for everyone who's coming up right behind you. Learn how to set and hold healthy boundaries around your time and energy. Your passion for making games has brought you this far, and that's fantastic, but knowing when and how to say no is one of the most important skills that you will ever learn. Embrace diversity. The industry's starting to look very different than it did in the early days, but there's still a long way to go and a lot of growth and change ahead. There has to be room at the table for everyone. Finally, even though it's scary, please be your authentic self as you build your career. Do you really want to work at a place that wouldn't have hired you if they knew who you really were? I know it feels like employers have all the power, especially in a tough economy, but there are still so many choices that you get to make. So please, find your people and join forces with them and with me to transform the industry into what we need it to become. Once again, thank you so much.
Our second category is the Excellence for Service Award, recognizing faculty who have worked tirelessly to build community and serve others. This year, we have a tie, and we are so thrilled to celebrate two unique individuals and their dedicated service. The first awardee is Jim Huntley from USC. Jim Huntley is a marketing and brand management executive with over 20 years of experience leading teams across multiple industries. A lifelong gamer, he worked professionally at THQ for nearly 5 years as their VP of Marketing. He's an associate professor at the top-ranked games program in North America, USC Games, and while there, he has led the development of their official esport organization, USC Trojan Esports, created the Gerald A. Lawson Fund for Black and Indigenous students, and is the lead faculty for the program's capstone class, Advanced Games Projects. Our second awardee is Lian Tran from DePaul University. Lian B. Tran is an assistant professor at DePaul University and director of Matters at PlayLab, a transdisciplinary design lab partnering in the creation of interactive advocacy solutions for positive social transformations. She is an award-winning social impact and interaction designer who creates interactive solutions at the intersections of social justice, health, and environment at the local, national, and international levels. Lian applies design thinking and human-centered design techniques in order to create informed, goal-directed solutions, including games, apps, websites, and emerging technologies such as VR. Her work often addresses and advocates for underrepresented and marginalized communities, and previous project partnerships include Open Society Foundations, World Bank, United Nations, and Red Cross Red Crescent Climate Center. A huge congratulations to both Jim and Lian.
Greetings from sunniest Los Angeles. I'm Jim Huntley, Associate Professor in the USC Games Program, and I'm proud to be one of the recipients of this year's Horizons Faculty of Excellence Awards. First of all, I'd like to thank the folks at Horizons, HEVGA, and IndieCade for the award itself. I've spent most of my 25-year career working in private industry, only the last 6 or so teaching, and only the last 3 or so of those full-time. So this early in my career, receiving an award like this, it's very much appreciated. I'd also like to thank the students who nominated me for the award. I really appreciate the nomination. I would not be sitting here without the guidance, support, and professionalism of my fellow USC Games faculty, administrators, particularly the professors that I partner with every year in teaching the USC Games Advanced Games Projects, AGP class. Our program would not exist without its founding chair, Scott Fisher, and subsequent chair, as well as the founder and director emeritus of the joint USC Games program, Professor Tracy Fullerton. A special thanks and eternal fist bumps to Professor Danny Bilson, the current chair of the department and director of the joint program. And lastly, a thanks to my dad and mom, the latter a DC public school teacher for nearly 35 years. I love you and miss you both. But most importantly, I'd like to thank all of the current as well as the graduated and alumni students who have come through the USC Games program, whether through our design track in IMGD in the cinema school or through our engineering track through computer science games. All of you are important to the success of our program. If you're out and making your mark in your career, which I know you all are, please keep at it and please come back and tell us about it. And if you'd like to study game development, please check us out at USC Games at games.usc.edu. Thank you all so much. I appreciate it.
Hi Horizons, I'm Lian Tran, professor at DePaul University in Chicago. First, I'd like to thank IndieCade Horizons for bringing together the academic games community, recognizing the breadth of work being produced out of each of our programs, and also for celebrating our collective creativity and commitment to creating unique and engaging play experiences. I'm also grateful to Horizons for recognizing the significant care and attention we as educators devote to fostering a culture of excellence in games education with this set of awards. And I would like to humbly thank my students at DePaul for nominating me. I am fortunate to teach students and also collaborate with them on designing games, not only for pure enjoyment, but also to raise awareness for some of our world's most wicked and complex problems. I would also like to recognize my colleagues in the Jarvis College of Computing and Digital Media for their collective effort in mentoring and inspiring our students to design unique play experiences. It's hard to imagine that I've been teaching game design for over a decade. And while the technology and platforms have evolved and game production workflows have shifted along with them, some things still remain true. Iteration, testing, and player feedback and critique are essential. Thank you again to Horizons for providing ways for our community to connect through playtesting and ultimately prioritizing how much we can learn from each other in pursuit of good gameplay. Receiving this award underscores my commitment to fostering the growth and evolution of academic games programs. It also serves as a reminder that we, as educators and game designers, have a unique opportunity and responsibility to use games as a conduit for education, growth, empowerment, and social good. Thank you so much.
Our third category is the Excellence for Innovation Award, recognizing a faculty member who has spurred innovation and pushed the boundaries of their field. And the awardee is Bob DeShooter. Bob DeShooter is an award-winning game designer, researcher, educator, and advocate for meaningful play in later life. He's a professor of applied game design at Northeastern University, where he is jointly appointed between the College of Arts, Media and Design, and the Khoury College of Computer Sciences. He's also the owner of an award-winning game company called Lifelong Games. His work focuses on the importance of play throughout the entire lifespan and speaks out against the stereotyping of older video game players in game design and marketing.
Oh my God. Wow. This is tremendous. This is incredible. Thank you so much. You know, next semester, it's literally going to be 20 years since I originally started researching and designing games in relation to the 50+ demographic. And it's been amazing and inspiring to see the strides that we were able to make over the past years in relation to breaking down stereotypes and barriers towards gaming as we grow older. So to wrap this up, I want to shout out some quick words of thanks, as nobody ever wins awards on their own. So thanks so much to the jury, the Horizons team, the IndieCade team, the HEVGA team for picking me. It means the world to me. Also, a quick thank you to my colleagues at the Northeastern Games for Life group, my students at the Northeastern Ghoul Lab, my former colleagues at Miami University and KU Leuven, everyone at the Gerontologic Society, at the Flemish Games Association, the Aging in Daylight Consortium, and last but certainly not least, my friends at AARP. You were all instrumental in putting me in a position to be able to win this thing. And finally, of course, I want to thank my now wife, Chloe, who I should actually be getting married to about right now, which is why I couldn't be live on stream, because obviously that has priority. Thank you so much for putting up with everything I do and allowing me to do this. So thank you all so much, and let's make some more awesome games.
Our final category is the Lifetime Achievement Award, recognizing a faculty member whose groundbreaking work has spanned decades and helped make the field what it is today. The awardee is Franz Myra. Franz Myra is the Professor of Information Studies and Interactive Media with specialization in digital culture and game studies in Tampere University, Finland. Since 2002, he has been heading the Tampere University Game Research Lab, having taught and studied digital culture and games from the early 1990s. He is widely consulted as an expert in socio-cultural issues related to games, play and playfulness, and has served as the founder and first president of DIGRA, Digital Games Research Association. His research interests range from game cultures, making meaning through playful interaction and online social play, to borderlines, identity, as well as transmedial fantasy and science fiction. He is also the director of the Academy of Finland-funded Center of Excellence in Game Culture Studies. Congratulations, Franz.
Hello. I am grateful for the Horizons Faculty Lifetime Achievement Award. It indeed sounds great, while I hope that I have still some lifetime also left. Thank you, Higher Education Video Game Alliance, IndieCade and Horizons. It is also nice to notice that we have today several organizations that aim to advance academic, scientific and educational work in game studies. That was not the situation in the 1990s when I first started working with digital culture and games-related topics. There had, of course, been scattered games-related research in various fields for several decades already at that point, in fields like cultural history, ethnology, educational sciences, mathematics and computer sciences, for example. But all this scattered work did not talk with each other. It did not form a accumulating body of understanding, and even the basic terminology was something that seemed to be reinvented every time someone started working in the field again. The etymological root of word university is coming from Latin expression universitas magistrorum et scholarium, a community of teachers and scholars. A key element in the construction of science and scholarship is indeed the establishment of community. Without people who know about each other and who read and discuss each other's work, there would be no sciences nor research-based higher education. Thus, the work of organizations in game studies matters a lot. It is not enough to publish research papers and books on games. We also need communication and encounters between people who share common interests related to games. Consequently, I am honored to receive a recognition from an organization and event that brings particularly young scholars and independent creators in this field together. My final words are about encouragement. The world is changing all the time, and all of us can indeed affect the direction of that change. Be bold, be persistent, and you will eventually also get lucky. Meanwhile, it is also nice to get some friends and join forces in the creation of new things. Have an excellent day and great summer, everybody.
A giant congratulations to all faculty award winners and to all students who've participated. It has been such a pleasure to host this show, but next up we have many more trailers from universities like American, Purdue, DePaul, Falmouth, and Kent State University, as well as University of Tulsa, University of Indiana, University of Southern California, and Sheridan College. We invite you to enjoy these trailers and be sure to check out all the game listings on our website.
Lifting slowly from my bed, I shake my head. I've done this before. So tell me, darling, once again what you said and what you swore. 'Cause the sight line goes over the tree line, Lord. And it's so much easier letting go when you know that you got nothing to fear, because you're safely standing miles around and never see it, because you're nowhere near, while the bomb drops all the way across the sea. All the way to me.
Equality. Fight for rights. I see. Thank you. How can I help? I don't understand. Let me help you.
Do you need any help? It's nice to meet you. Do you need any help?
Huh? Whatever.
Oh, jeez. No! What a failure. According to my calculations, perhaps.
Why not? Woohoo! You like that too?
Tell me. What? Why I oughta? What are you looking at?
Find my piece, find my piece.
Tranquility.
The superhuman samurai cyber squad. Blasting into action with the secrets of the Bat King. Get it! 地獄からの使者、スパイダー。
This is the IRS. We are leaving a voicemail to let you know that your taxes are due, and if you don't pay them by tomorrow, we're gonna have to blow up your house.
What?
Have you ever wanted to mess with scammers, but didn't want to risk your own information in the process?
That's oddly specific. Yes.
Well, now you can! Enjoy messing with multiple scammers while learning about the common scam tactics they use. Simple gameplay, combined with humorous stories containing choices that lead to multiple endings, makes this game perfect for anyone who could become the target of a scam call, including you, your friends, your parents, your grandparents, and every other person on the planet. Complete levels to earn coins and collect fun cosmetics from the shop. Get hyped for this fantastic game and download Scam Call Catfish at the end of the spring semester 2023.
Bad pun, but you have a point.
Can you help us? Let's start with the primary colors. They are red, 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 yellow, yellow.
The blue bear had a friend. His friend was a black dog. The blue bear and the black dog liked to play ball together. On Monday, the blue bear threw the ball.
Miss Martha, I have to go!
And I'm the only 2D character in the story.
Copy that, Mission Control. Now, just watch out for any...
Now we can really get into the fun stuff.
What if it somehow did survive and adapt? God save us all.
Contact Elpis and tell them to avoid this building at all costs. Tell them it's too dangerous.
Oh, good you're awake, Mr. Detective. My name is Kai.
Well then, Mr. Ensign, can you help me find my signed book? Don't worry, I'll pay you handsomely for it.
Yes. My name is Kiku Ashuyo of Classroom 4A, though I do not recall having a parent-teacher conference today. What's the name of your kid?
Wait, you're a detective?
Well, right now, you're a detective. As your punishment, all I ask is for you to solve a few mysteries around town. If you do that, I'll let you keep the second chance and you can finish whatever you wanted to do in your past life.
What is this, a video game?
Fine, ask away. My name is Tobin Imasha, and I'm a college student working here.
What year are you in?
I'm a sophomore studying music theory. My university is on the other side of town.
Music theory? Sounds interesting. Good luck with your studies.
Thanks. I'm surprised a detective such as yourself didn't already connect the dots.
Hey, no need to add the jab. Just answer the question.
I'm trying to pay for college, okay? It doesn't come cheap.
Ah, I see. Totally did not go to college because I'm a high school dropout who went straight to a criminal organization. But
the sign is literally right over there.
Just humor me.
I'm not paid enough for this. We have ladders on sale right now. Don't ask why, I don't know either. But the sale is only for today.
Hey, can I get that ladder then?
Do you have the money to pay for it? Then the answer is no. Come back when you have money, and then it's all yours. Yep, that looks like the girl alright. She did go into the shop last Friday. Hey, when did you get a picture of me?
Looks like no one's here. Oh, there's a computer. Maybe there's some information there. Shoot, I don't have the password. Perhaps someone left the password somewhere around here. Wow, this table is a mess. Let's see if I can find anything useful. Yes, that should be the password. Let's go back to the computer and test it out. Nice, I'm in. This must be the place where Kate Rose lost her book. Back when I was living the life of a criminal, I always had to have a keen eye when stealing stuff. Hopefully that will help me find this book. Finally, I found this stupid book. It took long enough. This looks like her locker, alright. And it's locked. I can't lockpick it, or break the lock. That second option would have the teacher after me in a heartbeat. Maybe I can find a way to guess the code. Or maybe I can ask Kai to see if he knows anything. Huh, it worked. I wonder what's inside.
So what if we could bring back these co-op experiences and blend it together with modern technology to have you and your friends working together as a team in virtual reality? And Breach Protocol is our answer to that question. Breach Protocol is an episodic VR co-op game with an emphasis on teamwork, coordination, and communication.
We tried to stay away from the hyper-real style to make it appeal to people of all ages, so that people of younger people trying to play the game aren't seeing something that's hyper-realistic, but older people who are playing the game don't feel like they're playing something that was made for kids.
I like working with the team. I like working on the project. There has been some bumps in the road, but we've always found a solution to them, so it's not difficult as long as there's communication involved.
It's really cool to be able to load it up and then jump into it and see, oh hey, I know the people that worked on this, and I know how they were able to do this, and I know how everything was able to come together and form this one giant piece. So I think it's pretty cool to be able to see the fruits of all our labor.
Our hope is to release a free demo of the first episode of the game on platforms such as itch.io and potentially a full release on Steam.
As someone on the spectrum, I wanted to make my experiences a little easier to understand for the outside world.
You'll guide Emma, a representation of my experiences, through day-to-day situations that can be overwhelming to someone like me. And you just have to survive. Finish the to-do list. Use wind downs to prevent a meltdown. Be human for once. In life, you can't redo a conversation, no matter how much you try. You're left wondering if you said the right thing because your friend gave you a weird stare.
I wanted to make a game that involved skill, but that took away some of the manicured control that card games often have. There are specific actions a player can take on their turn, which coincides with sides on the die. While the die roll determines whether you draw for yourself, an opponent, or the community board, or swap with the deck, an opponent, or the community board, you can always choose not to take the action, giving back some of the control that the die takes away while still implementing a random element to gameplay.
very exciting for me to take this concept that I originally developed for an animation.
Blink of an Eye is an RPG mobile game that is designed to be played for the first 15 minutes after your alarm. And the purpose of this is to kind of motivate you and energize you to kind of start your day with an entertaining game and narrative to just get the mind working a little bit quicker.
Being able to develop several different minigames, a collection of experiences so that people don't have to do the same thing every morning when they wake up, it also allows me to branch out a little bit and try out different game ideas, different methodologies for execution. Waking up, especially in the modern age, is often a difficult experience, even with alarms.
Our main target users are young adults who are still figuring out their sleep schedule and struggle to get up on time when their alarm goes. That's the main reason, really, why we have a feature in our game, Blink of an Eye, where after the first 15 minutes of your alarm, you're allowed to play the game, but then after that it locks.
Project, I did learn some new things, like I learned how to use Audition to edit and applying audio sources.
Main thing that got me interested in the nursing VR simulation was the opportunity to develop virtual reality, because there are a lot of really unique interactions available for VR, but it's also a very different space from any other medium.
I wanted to be a part of this project because I'm passionate about the development and advancement of virtual reality in the medical industry. I believe it is very important to begin to merge these fields as our technology improves. The benefits are endless.
I think working alongside others gives you a really great opportunity to see how people do things and learn from that. So I've been able to learn a lot of new kind of like coding tricks that I had no idea even existed in the first place, and that's been a really exciting opportunity for me.
I've been working on this project with this team for the past year and 2 months. I am really, really proud of where we have gotten with this simulation so far, and I am excited to see where we go in the future.
When the world was created, the gods put their powers into 5 relics that would maintain balance. 5 families were tasked with protecting these relics, called the Wardens of Vitality. For centuries, the Wardens lived in harmony. Until now. I'm going after them.
Stop him!
Open your ears. You might learn something.
Let's even the playing field!
Didn't see that coming, did you?
Time to rough the sky out.
I can't turn back now.
1, 2, 3, 4.
I need your help finding my daughter Hannah. She's missing.
No one should ever have to live like this.
Believe it's gotten to this point. People turning their back on reality.
Cause of malfunction. Self-termination.
Avis, Ronatech is after you. You need to get rid of them fast.
Now that you're here, you can set everyone free. Bring them back. I mean, I've been working on this game for 4 years. My publisher is coming tomorrow, so we need to run through this last test build.
Do I have a choice?
I said, today is your last day as a test dummy. First of all, you're welcome.
Finally, I'm gonna be the lead character in a video game.
I just hope it works. I'm sorry, Benny, but I can't let you go.
And this concludes the 2023 Horizons Showcase. We will be back again next year, but for now, thank you so much for joining us today here at IndieCade Horizons, the premier showcase highlighting schools and the next generation of game makers. Horizons is truly a unique partnership between HEVGA, the Higher Education Video Game Alliance, and IndieCade. We're grateful for the members of each organization for their commitment to students and to education. We would again like to thank the Knight Foundation as well as have a special shout out for the folks at Atomic for all of their support. More information about the conference and showcase for Horizons this year and for 2024 will be available this fall at indiecade.com/horizons. And we look forward to seeing you then. Bye!